Hello everybody, welcome back for another Q&A video. I hope that you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day. As always, this must be said, the opinions expressed in this video are my own and should not under any circumstances be taken as legal, tax, and or investment advice. Please make sure to also not include anything personal about yourself that you do not want other people to see in a video. So without further ado, let's start off. This one says, many thanks for your great videos. Not a problem, I try. What do you think about kin as an investment? You have mentioned several times that some of the coins that we won't see today won't exist, that we see today won't exist in a few years. Do you think kin is one of them? Thank you. So kin is actually one of my wild cards, simply because one, I will never tell you to directly invest in something. You have to please always do your own research. But one of the reasons why I like kin personally is because of, first of all, the Kick platform is incredibly large. They have a large number, I think millions of people who are using them on a daily basis, if I'm not mistaken. When you have that many followers behind you already, typically if you are creating a new cryptocurrency, let's say you are making like Ethereum 4.7 or something like that, like a brand new cryptocurrency, and you're trying to get people to back you or get behind you, it takes a long time to be able to build up this not framework, but like group of people who will follow you and who will, go behind you as a, dedicated user of your platform. When you already have millions of people potentially using your messaging service, and you can already provide ads on that platform, if that makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know if Kick itself has any ads on it. Most platforms tend to, especially like social media platforms, are places where you can buy and or sell things, whatever the case might be. So when you already have that huge amount of people behind you already who are using your platform, and you can find a way to be able to advertise to them that you are now getting into the cryptocurrency game, that's incredibly large. They already have a huge amount of people behind them. Even if only 3% of the people who are already on their platform start using their token, that is going to amount to a very large amount of volume. Secondly is, this was, back in July, they announced that they were giving $3 million to 25 different developers to be able to develop games and apps and dApps on their platform that would use the kin token. Now, what's interesting about this is that even if it was just 10 developers, I would still kind of be into it, but 25 is a very large number for this, in that typically when you are creating something for other people to use, let's say you're trying to create the killer app that people are going to be using cryptocurrency on, you have a higher chance of getting 25 developers to be able to spread out and make as many apps as possible, because at some point, one of them will probably catch on, i.e. if you have one about, like, there's so many games and stuff like that out there now. If you have something where you can buy stickers to put on photos of your friends, or you can, race cars with other people around the world, and whoever ends up winning, on the platform or whatever, ends up getting, 50 kin, little things like this over and over and over, eventually add up to a very large volume. And eventually, if we do see something like a CryptoKitties or like any other of the major games that we maybe have now, like dApps and stuff like that, but on the Kick network that are using the kin token, this is why, like I said, it's a wild card, because we don't know what they're developing. We don't know how great it's going to be. It could be some of the most boring games in the entire world, but we've even had instances. I don't know if you guys remember the game Flappy Bird. It had to be about 2 or 3 years ago right now. The guy who made that, he said he made it in a couple of hours. He threw it online, and I think he woke up 2 days later with people like knocking on his door, and they were asking him all these questions, and he didn't understand what was going on. His game had become the #1 game. He made it in a couple of hours. He threw it on there. It was just tapping the screen to keep this bird alive. It was very simple. It didn't take much work to do. And I think just from like people downloading the game and like using it in ads and stuff like that, I think he was making like $50,000 a day. So it's kind of the same exact thing. If they end up creating something, that's why it's a wild card, that is going to attract a lot of people to their platform, because realistically, how Google and Instagram and Facebook are, they're gobbling up everything that's kind of in front of them. If the people from Kick end up making the app, or are responsible for someone who made the app that is going to use their token, that logically would propel the price of it, because people would start using it every single day, especially if they end up incorporating some type of like a streaming system where you get paid to stream or put your content on top of their platform. And let's say I think I mentioned this before, like you end up getting a certain amount of kin for what you put on their platform. That could be potentially incredibly major in the future. So I would, I'm going to say, or I would recommend that you look further into it yourself. I have a feeling that you already have, but if a little bit more doesn't hurt, so that you can decide if you want to put money into that project. I personally think that they have something going for it. As of right now, I can even look at the price for you. The prices are all down on everything because life. 1 second. Right. So the price is incredibly low right now, especially compared to where it once was before. I think it was 1 decimal place away from 1 cent. Normally for me, when I'm looking at investments, I would say myself that it's safe to assume that you can even see the market cap was close to 1 billion. If we have some type of a major run up, or if people do start using their token, it's safe to assume myself, that we could definitely see the before 1 cent decimal place hitting that area again. But of course, this is all reliant on them actually being able to do something with it. I see great potential in it. I'm not going to lie. I've thrown 50 euros at it, just because, I like to gamble, I guess. Somebody said that before in another video. They were like, "You're a gambler." I was like, I don't gamble like it's slot machines, but I guess getting into crypto is definitely a gamble. Hope I answered your question. And I definitely do believe in, kin and kick for what it's worth. This one says, "I'm a huge fan from India." Thank you very much. "Do you think that Charlie Lee is Satoshi Nakamoto by any chance? He was in Coinbase. He is from MIT. Do you think it may be possible that Satoshi wanted to remain anonymous but still be engaged actively in mainstream crypto, so he created Litecoin? If you notice, LTC was created in just 6 months by Charlie. He is very introverted, shy, and always talks in indirect and cunning tone. He even jokes many times on Twitter that he is Satoshi. Maybe he is not joking. He sold all his Litecoin and challenged Satoshi to sell Bitcoin on Twitter. I'm very sure that he is Satoshi or a prominent member of a group called Satoshi Nakamoto. If there are multiple people, your take, brother." So this is actually incredibly interesting. There are a number of people. I think we have about 4 or 5 people right now who are actually claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. And what I think is the funniest part is that people continuously think that Satoshi is just one person. If you look back, there was something in the 90s called eCash. You can try and Google it. There were a group of people who were in this group called the Cypherpunks, CYPHERPUNKS. They pretty much banded together, and I think they tried 3 or 4 separate times to create cryptocurrencies. But every time they did it, it didn't really work. There was also a precursor or something that came before PayPal that was kind of the exact same thing. Was it eCash? I can't remember the exact name of what it was, but they tried to do exactly what PayPal's doing and also what Bitcoin is doing. They tried to have a mesh of it, but there was a centralized point, and after a couple of months of them doing this and the US government figuring out that they were, at this one location, they completely shut them down. So on top of all of that, it's believed that Satoshi is not just one person, but actually a group of multiple people, i.e. it took so much brain power to be able to create Bitcoin that therefore, it's not just one simple person. I would not be surprised if, I don't want to say Charlie Lee is one of the people, but I wouldn't be shocked if he knew the people involved. A lot of the people who are claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto, it's really sad. You can kind of tell, like, that's not, I'm not going to name any names at all. You can, try and Google, like, who is Satoshi Nakamoto, or who claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto, and you'll get very interesting, people in the cryptocurrency world who are clearly not Satoshi Nakamoto. Like, they don't have any cunning. They're not really, I don't want to say intelligent. I don't want to bring anyone down, but you can clearly tell that they probably did not take the time to create something like Bitcoin or even blockchain. I wouldn't be shocked if he was actually one of them. I did think, like I've said before, I thought it was kind of suspicious, when you tell people to buy Bitcoin before buying your own coin that you created. I wouldn't be shocked. He could also be part of the group. Like, this could be a complete throw off. But usually, like I've said, a lot of these people know each other. If there's a book out there, I can't remember the name of it, where they talk about the very beginnings of Bitcoin and the people who were first dealing with it. And when Satoshi used to actually post on Reddit and other forums and stuff like that, he used to constantly, so the words that he would throw inside, people ascertained, if you will, or they assumed that because of his speech patterns and the way that he was writing, not only was he not from Asia, simply because typically if someone had that name and was from Asia, and his writing style wouldn't have been from someone who wasn't a native English speaker, if that makes sense. And the words that he was also throwing in were typically things that only someone who had been living or who was born in the United Kingdom would be using. Or like even his spelling as well. So it's believed that Bitcoin is actually from someone or a group of people who were actually in the United Kingdom. And then at some point, Satoshi completely disappeared. Like we all know this. But I mean, realistically, if you had as much passion as Satoshi did, like you can't create something and then kind of release it into the world. I have a feeling he's definitely, like, I'm pretty sure we probably see him on a daily basis, or them on a daily basis. But at this point, they are probably more known by their actual names, like their real world names. I've looked at the name Satoshi Nakamoto many times and tried to like unscramble it to see exactly what it could be. But the K right here usually throws off like a lot of the names. It could be, the SA could be the beginning of someone's name, TO, SH, it could be 1,000,001 things. I never really thought of Charlie Lee exclusively as Satoshi Nakamoto. It could, anything is possible. I don't think that he would have, or they would have created something, set it off into the world, and then simply have left the project. I feel like they would have taken a more hands-on approach. They probably are responsible. Wouldn't it be weird if they were responsible for creating a couple of other crypto projects that are like failing right now, simply because they are trying to get away from what Bitcoin is now, as in, banks using it, governments trying to use it, and so that they're trying to actually create something, that would be kind of weird if they created something else, but people think that it's a scam or a sham, or, you shouldn't use it because it's not Bitcoin when these are the actual people who created Bitcoin. I guess that's just something to think about. That's actually kind of weird. I never thought about that before. Anyway, let's move on. Hello, TMI. Big fan. Congrats on 100K subs. Thank you very much. I am Cardano Green. Hello. The question I really want to discuss is regarding the Reddit post from Luca Magnotta, or the Bitcoin Time Traveler. You spoke about this in the past. Obviously, I know that we don't say we necessarily believe in time travel, but that is interesting. Most of the time, you, like most public figures in the space, are very hopeful for the future of crypto and its potential to liberate humanity. My question is, what are your fears for the future regarding crypto? Time traveler aside, is this dystopian scenario laid out by Luca Magnotta possible or even likely? I personally don't think the future of crypto is all sunshine and rainbows, but I really want to hear more of your thoughts. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to hearing your response. So I'm going to be as honest as possible, and I mean as brutally honest as possible. The Bitcoin Time Traveler thing is actually one of my, if not my favorite thing inside of the entire cryptocurrency space. For those who do not know, someone posted on Reddit, it says 5 years ago here, they call themselves the Bitcoin Time Traveler. They said they're from the year 2025. In their world, Bitcoin has taken over everything, but it's not in the way that we expect it to happen. To complete, have a quick rundown. This person says, on average, every year, the value of Bitcoin has increased by a factor of 10, from 10 cents in 2010 to $1 by 2011, $10 by 2012, $100 in 2013. He said, from now on, there's a slight slowdown as the value increased by a factor of 10 every 2 years. 1,000 in 2015, which it did hit, 10,000 in 2017, which it also did hit. Bitcoin has been projected for quite some time to hit 100,000 in 2019, which we haven't gotten to, and $1 million by 2021. Said from here onwards, there's no good way of expressing its value in dollars, as the dollar is no longer used, nor is any central bank issued currency for that matter. There are two main factors of wealth in today's world: land and cryptocurrency. Like I said, so without reading the entire thing, he goes on to say that if you have just zero, if you have this one amount of Bitcoin, you're wealthy in his world, because of pretty much Bitcoin controls and rules everything. There's a lot to discuss. I'm trying to make sure that I just cover the really important parts. When we remember, I said before, usually, and if I've spoken about it before in a video, not this even, particularly, but when we get price predictions and stuff like that, or people are talking about the future of the Bitcoin price and stuff like that, and we kind of get these numbers of $1 million around 2020. So floating between 2019 and 2020, we constantly get $250,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin by 2020. And I keep saying that that's very interesting that people keep throwing these numbers out there, not because of this in particular, but because we had the news from that organization or that company or the analytics firm. They said that if Bitcoin hits $250,000, this has the possibility of usurping the US dollar, i.e. pushing the US dollar out of its place. And this person said, it's when you read things like this 5 years ago, me and my friends, read this 5 years ago, more or less. And you look at it now and you realize the things that he's talking about. So, time travel aside, what have you, it's very interesting to see the things that he's talking about. He talks about something called citadels, which are pretty much like cities that are for the rich. So if you have 0.01 Bitcoin and you are considered wealthy, then you live inside of a citadel, which are pretty much places that are wrapped around like ASICs. So places where people are mining cryptocurrencies become cities, and they're built as citadels, like pretty much like a citadel is like a fortress or like a huge castle, if you will, if you want to imagine it that way, in order to be able to protect the miners that are maybe like the very center of this entire city. He goes on to, what's really interesting to note is one of the things that actually made me think deeply for a long time is somewhere around here. I can't remember where he said it. He's talking about some of the richest countries in the entire world. I don't know where it is. He talks about that North Korea actually becomes one of the richest countries in the entire world. And if you remember a couple of months ago, I was telling you guys, I may have stopped in the middle as I was saying it because I think it like rushed back to me very quick. And I was telling you that we had news that not only had North Korea been mining Bitcoin, but they had been stealing it from other countries as well. And current estimates, I think, put their Bitcoin total like tens of thousands of Bitcoin that the country of North Korea actually owns, which was complete left field because typically when you think about cryptocurrencies, North Korea is normally not the first place that you think about. But this person said, I wish I could find it's somewhere hidden inside here. I don't want to read through the entire thing. He says that North Korea actually becomes a world superpower because of the amount of cryptocurrency, because of the amount of Bitcoin that they have. And he even this is also kind of weird that we had something like it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago where North Korea said that they're going to have I have it right here, that North Korea was planning on having their own cryptocurrency like convention or something like that. And I was like, it's very odd. To be honest with you, I do research a lot about science. Science is one of my, I guess aside from like real estate and stuff like that, I am obsessed with science and something called like futurism, as far as like where the world is going to be in the future. Like where will the world be technology wise 2025 and 2030? Like what kind of things will we have? What kind of medicines will we have that cure diseases or help people who have disabilities? If you're missing a limb, like how can this help you? I love the idea of helping people, but I also love the idea of technology also helping people as well. So and on the entire idea of like time travel, a lot of scientists do say that they believe that time travel actually is possible, but not in the way of like a Back to the Future type thing where you can just switch back and forth. People believe that time travel is possible, but only in one way. Just going to throw that out there as like a bit of a precursor, or rather talking about what we're talking about. We've had a couple of people who have actually come forward and have said that they actually are from the future. And that when people have been asking them, are you actually from the future? And they ask them, do you use Bitcoin? And they say, yeah, like we use Bitcoin where I'm from. And it's just, I don't know. You can't assume that a lot of these people are telling the truth. You always have to take everything 50-50. You may believe, but also try and do your due diligence and dig up as much information as you can possibly find. I can't say that I believe the Bitcoin time traveler because this sounds very like tinfoil hat like, I believe in this guy from the future. But if we get to a point where Bitcoin hits Bitcoin is $6,000 right now. If Bitcoin rises to 100,000 in 2019, I think we're going to have a lot more people who are actually going to be scrutinizing these things. They're actually, you want to know what's even crazier? If you Google Bitcoin Citadel, there actually is an organization or a company or something like that who has named themselves Bitcoin Citadel, which is actually also kind of weird. So I'm going to try and get back to the email, but I just wanted to give you guys like an actual, like, so you understand where I'm coming from as I'm talking about this. Obviously, I know we don't necessarily believe, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to my fears for the future, like I said, I love science. I love mathematics. I may not be the greatest at mathematics, but I do like the idea of all of this. I can't say that the Bitcoin time traveler is real. I mean, if Bitcoin ends up hitting $1 million in 2021, if you get a chance to actually read this, and that means it's time to go. The future that this guy predicts is horrible. He says that greed and banks cause Bitcoin to actually reach these prices, which also aligns with the 2018 where we are right now with the infrastructure being built up. And I said I thought it was very weird that crypto has so many people from traditional finance going into it in 2018 as prices are going down. And this price has also been predicted by a number of other analysts who said they believe that 60 to 80,000 per Bitcoin by the time we're into 2019. We also have the time schedule that we had from JP Morgan, who said in 2020 that there will be a market crash. And I said, if we end up having a market crash in stocks and stuff like that, it's estimated that money, as crypto has been solidified in its place in 2019 and 2018, the framework has been there, that 2020, if we have a stock market crash, the money will start to pour into cryptocurrencies, which also then leads us into a future where Bitcoin hits $1 million. The future that this guy lays out is probably one of the scariest things in the entire... Oh, I'm so stupid. It's right here. I scrolled by it 1,000 times. He says that ASIC miner has 50,000 Bitcoin. The International Monetary Fund, it has a currency stabilization fund that has 70,000 Bitcoin. The government of Saudi Arabia has 110,000 Bitcoin, and the North Korean government has 180,000 Bitcoin in their possession. He also states that pretty much like the Winklevoss twins are taken out. Like it's a very bad future. He says what ends up happening is that the banks around the world realize that there's money to be made in this, that they're actually hoarding and collecting Bitcoin like right now, like me making this video, like today when you're listening to this, that the idea is that they've been hoarding it for years. They've been gathering all of it. They've been buying over the counter. And this is why we don't see like the price fluctuations of them buying up and down over and over. And that at some point they decide that this is the currency, but the world ends up falling apart because when taxes no longer have to be paid and people are keeping their money to themselves and no one knows where anything is, infrastructure falls apart. The people who are already the richest in the world, like I spoke about before, I said the people who are going to benefit from this the most are the people who are already the richest people in the entire world. He said that they are going to not only become richer, but become almost like kings in the places that they're living. And the people who could have gotten into cryptocurrencies, like I always say, years and years ago, it's a shame that so many people who would benefit from this have not gotten into this, or even, getting 0.01 Bitcoin. That is not me telling you to buy 0.01 Bitcoin. It's just for the sake of argument, that poverty goes rampant. And at the end of all of this, he says that, what was it? Him and a whole bunch of other people, their entire plan right now is to like destroy the internet. And that they're going to try and destroy like the cable work and the foundation, everything that controls the internet, so that Bitcoin becomes irrelevant, so that no one is actually using it or can use it simply because there's no internet. When it comes to my fear, sorry for getting sidetracked. I think when you hear about predictions and stuff like that, the weirdest thing that's constantly kept me captivated is this: North Korea getting into Bitcoin, which they actually have, and also his number predictions. Like, it's one thing if these weren't correct or haven't been correct, but they have been corrected thus far. And, if we hit 100,000 in 2019, something's interesting. My fears, one, is that this could potentially come true. I think that we've entered a point right now. I told you guys before in another video that I think Bitcoin is just for the elite now. And I know people thought I was saying something else that I wasn't. And I don't mean that if you are elite, you should be the only people owning or buying crypto. I meant that the powers that be, if you want to call them that, some of the richest people in the entire world are amassing a huge amount of Bitcoin. And it's happening under our nose because it's happening over the counter. The fact that Coinbase created all of the, if there's a market for it and you create it, they will come. There's a reason why Coinbase created, and Gemini and all these other people are creating these custody things and also creating these like over-the-counter things if you're trying to buy more than 5 million worth of Bitcoin or 10 million worth of cryptocurrencies. That's because people have come to them and said, hey, I want to buy 7 million of this. I have 4.5 million and I'm looking to buy this much of it. They didn't create it because they thought, maybe one person will walk by one day and knock on the window and, maybe buy some. It's because it's there. My fear is is that the people who should be getting into cryptocurrencies, and I mean people who may not have the largest incomes in the entire world. I understand, like I said before, I get that everyone isn't making, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 a year working for Google and stuff, per month working for Google and stuff like that. Like, I get it. But the people who could benefit from it most are people who don't have a large amount of excess income at the end of the month, who would be able to just put $50 into cryptocurrencies. That's not me telling you to do that. Maybe even, you know, 75, what have you, you know. If Bitcoin, you know, the old saying, if you had put $100 into Bitcoin in 2010, you'd have what was like $77 million or something like that. Right now, it's kind of the same exact thing. The people who should be getting into cryptocurrencies are not getting into cryptocurrencies. The people who have already are the richest people in the entire world are the people who understand what cryptocurrencies are. These are the people who are backing the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, the other stock exchanges around the world. They see it. They get it. There's a documentary somewhere. I remember who made it. I have no idea who made it. You can YouTube it. It's like Google like Bitcoin Switzerland. You should be able to find some stuff. Do like the last month as far as like timeline wise, and you'll be able to find some stuff. These countries are accepting it. They're buying it up themselves. They're accepting Bitcoin as a payment option. They're buying millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin themselves. And the people who are going to be left behind are the people who are just not paying attention, the people who don't want to pay attention, the people who think it's a fad, the people who think that crypto is just like the stock market and that you are, you know, I don't want to buy part of a company. They don't realize that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a new payment method. This is the way that money is going to be made. It's such a loaded question, and I apologize. I didn't mean to spend an exorbitant amount of time on this. I think that crypto is not going to. I think that there's not going to be a bright future for a lot of people, and I've told my friends that as well. And I think my friends think that I'm crazy. I told my friends that in 2008, 2009. And I tried to explain to them what was happening to the world economy. I was trying to explain to them what was happening as far as like money wise, even like the like when silver went from like $3 to $40. Like, these are huge indications of things that are happening in the world. A lot of wealth is being concentrated, not even at the very top anymore. It's at the very pinnacle. You know, there are other people who are millionaires, what have you, but it's expected that within our lifetime, we're going to see the first trillionaires. And we don't know if it's going to come from crypto or someone having a mega company, what have you. As the world's population continues to increase, like I said, I'm going to trying to be as honest as possible. I know we don't talk about stuff like this typically in my other videos. This is why I'm glad that we have this Q&A thing, so we can kind of discuss these things, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thinks about this. I think the world's future is bleak if you don't have money. I am a huge advocate for not only buying land, but controlling the land that you own, for buying property, owning property. There's a saying, it's like all the, how does it go? It's like all the dirt that will ever be created is already there. Like, there's never going to be more dirt created. Like, what we have on Earth is already it. You may have noticed over the last couple of years that cities have become more expensive because everyone is trying to move into these metropolises, I guess is how you would say it, in order to be able to make more money. I see a future, and I can see it happening, especially with automation, with AI, self-driving cars, self-driving trucks. I'm sure you've walked into your supermarkets that have self-checkouts. Once they've mastered this, there are going to be less people working inside of supermarkets. Limo drivers are going to be gone. People driving trucks, people working as like phone operators are already gone. I've said before that I think if you are in crypto right now, I think you are very lucky, because you are getting bigger slices of the cake than other people will be able to get who are trying to grab crumbs. As far as like a dystopia, I don't see, hopefully, people like scrounging in the scrounging in the streets like zombies, or things like that, like a very, you've seen the dystopian movies, as the world ends. But I don't think that is going to be great. If 2008 is any indication of where the world is going and what the next stock market crash is going to be like, and if we do, I can definitely if Bitcoin hit 20,000, I've told you guys before, like my simple multiplication, if Bitcoin hit 20,000 in 2017, when it was just retail investors, if we get the big money, into Bitcoin and into crypto and stuff like that, and the banks are already buying, selling, and holding and mining cryptocurrencies as well, and we have the reward getting cut in half in 2020, I think a $100,000 Bitcoin, at least to me in my eyes, it's already happened. Like it's already happened, but it has not happened yet. I don't see a bright future. This is why I don't know. I think deep down inside, once again, to be honest, I feel like this is why I made this channel, to be able to get people to understand what cryptocurrencies are so that they're not left behind, if that makes sense. When Bitcoin was $200, I saw what was coming. I saw what was happening. I wish I had an actual crystal ball so I could show you guys. But I can see that things aren't going to go well. I can see the conflicts that we're having in other countries. I can see human migration patterns. If you have a chance, like look at documentary on human migration patterns, and you see that the way that people are moving, into mega cities, the way that flats and apartments are becoming smaller and more expensive. The world is not going to be a pretty place if you don't have money. I think that's all I can say, or maybe want to say, about the entire topic. The richer are only going to get richer. There's no way around this right now. And I guess one last thought is, I had a discussion a couple of weeks ago with a friend. We were discussing finance and stuff like that, and like equality, because there's a huge thing going on right now where people want equality, obviously, or at least to some degree. Like, you don't want people drinking dirty water and other people drinking sparkling water. And we were talking about the idea of having actual equality, and that comes down to like certain political systems that have hampered innovation and growth in the past. So we went over that, and I was saying, let's say you had a scenario where the richest people in the entire world, all their money was taken from them in one instant, and that money was spread across every single person, adult over 18 in the entire world, and every adult was given over 18. Over 18, they were all given $1 million. I said, what do you think would happen 365 days later? And my friend said, we'd have a great utopia. We'd have, full prosperity. And I said, no, we'd have a lot of people who would be creating businesses, who would create eBay businesses, who would buy real estate, who would buy land, who would buy boats that they could rent out, who would buy parking spaces, who could buy, parking garages, what have you. And we'd have a lot of other people who would be the people renting these places, and the people who would be buying their products. And we'd have another inequality factor in just 365 days. I didn't mean to spend so much time on this. I really wanted to be as honest as possible. Like the Bitcoin time traveler thing is definitely, without a doubt, my favorite thing in the entire Bitcoin space, the cryptocurrency space. I think it's incredibly fascinating, and it's kind of like, even if you can agree, or you can admit that you don't believe in time travel, you don't believe in this, you don't believe in science, but there's a portion of every human's brain. We always wonder, like, what if? So I can't say that this person is, telling the truth, or that they're actually from the future, but there's always at least 1% of our brain, as we're hearing something, that little voice in the back of our head that says, like, what if this is real? Like, what if all these numbers are correct and, things kind of hit the fan, to say it nicely? I don't think the future is very bright for a lot of people. And that's really all I can really say on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to take that long, but it's definitely a very deep conversation. And thank you very much for sending that email. The moment I saw it, I was like, I know exactly where this is going to lead as I'm talking about this. Alrighty, let's move on. Okay, this one says, has anyone else had problems with their wallet being wiped out on Bittrex? I have the app on my phone and check it every week or so. I just found out my wallet has been wiped clean, no value at all whatsoever. I'm mortified. I had several $100 invested into about 6 different coins, and now it's all gone. Am I the only one this has happened to on the exchange? One, I'm sorry that happened to you. I haven't read any articles. I haven't seen anything else. I haven't seen anyone else on forums or online talking about it either. I hope that you've contacted them by now. I hope, if you have, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Bittrex is one of the regulated exchanges, or more regulated exchanges. I would try and contact them. Hopefully you have a password. Hopefully they gave you some type of like if not a backup phrase or something like that, there's some way that you can actually contact them. If you have had this problem with Bittrex in particular, please write in the comment section below to let the other person know that you've also had this problem, or that you have had it fixed. I hope you get your money back. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sure there's a way to get it back. Just logically, the exchange, as they are centralized, quote unquote, they should have something in their database that this money is connected to you or to your phone or to your wallet, and hopefully they can recover that for you. I'm sorry that happened to you. Next up, it says, I am curious if you have ever looked at Bitcoin and other digital assets as actual money. Most investors are looking to buy low and sell high. My purchases are driven by the question, can they serve as a medium of exchange? Can it be used to pay for things across the globe? Am I alone in this, or have you spoken to others interested in digital assets because they think it's the best form of money available? When I buy crypto assets, I don't buy for the short term. Like, I'm not a person who is getting into it for the quick profits. On the entire time traveler thing, I think a lot of what's motivated me is, even though this is just an idea, whatever, someone may have written an article, but the infrastructure that's being built around crypto, infrastructure built around a certain number of coins, I think is indicative of what these coins are going to be and what they're going to do. When we have information from the New York Stock Exchange that they're creating Baked, BAKKT, that is going to allow merchants around the world to be able to accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, that's also indicative of what the future of cryptocurrencies is going to be. And so more or less, I look at everything extremely long term, and I mean like longer than 5 years. I told you guys before, if prices do go a little insane, I do eventually plan on selling off a sliver just so that I can start getting into real estate a bit more. But I'm holding my crypto in the crypto that I have because I believe in them for the long term. I think eventually the way that Bitcoin is looking, the way that all of this looks like it's slowly forming. I mean, when you have the New York Stock Exchange talking about that they're creating something that will allow people around the world to be able to accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general, and the New York Stock Exchange is a major financial hub, I think a medium of exchange for cryptos is going to be something that is, what's his name? Like Tim Cook or something like that? John Cook? Can't remember his name. He said that by the year like 2023 or something like that, you're going to try and go into a Starbucks and pay in cash and people will laugh at you because you'll be paying in Bitcoin. I think this is definitely going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be as widespread or as mainstream as it's been predicted, but I definitely foresee a future where crypto will be as a medium of exchange. You were not alone in this, and I've definitely spoken to other people. I used to go to a lot more like conferences and like crypto meetups and stuff like that, where I talk about people, and people are more intense than I am. Like, people really believe that this is like the actual future of money. I think we're going to have a long period of time, at least I suspect, for another 10, let's say 12 years by 2030, where it's going to be almost like a hybrid. I think cash will still be around, but I think cryptocurrencies as a medium of payment will definitely be there as well, especially once again, if we end up having some type of a stock market crash in 2020. I could foresee a future where in 2020, if the stock market crashes, crypto prices go up, and by 2022, we have a lot more advocates talking about that we need digital currency as opposed to actual fiat currency, just because of price devaluation and what have you. But yeah, I definitely, you were not alone in this. There are a lot of people who are just like you. Next up, I've been subscribed to your channel for a number of months. Thank you very much. And I share many of your personal views. I wanted your opinion on the price of Bitcoin and the potential of manipulation leading up to the Van Eck Bitcoin ETF. I believe the ETF will be postponed until the end of February. I also kind of think this way as well. Do you believe we'll see Bitcoin drop below 6,000 prior to its possible approval? I'm hoping for another great buying opportunity for XRP and various altcoins. Manipulation is always going to be there. Once again, in accordance with this, I think that people, the amount of people who've gotten into cryptocurrencies, I think our market has, people who have gotten into crypto has increased, like, I think like it's like 5-fold to 8-fold or something like that. Like, there's an enormous amount of people who've gotten into crypto, yet prices have continued to fall. I think the manipulation is already there. I think people have been pushing prices down. Don't assume that this is all speculation, or that I've heard other people say, no, it has to do with TA. No, it has to do with market trends and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, market trends. Typically, if you have 8 times the amount of people getting into your market buying up cryptocurrencies, or if you have eight times the amount of people buying your stock, prices don't go down on your stock. I think the price has been pushed down by coordination from things that are happening around from different governments, different agencies, different people who've tried to. We've had governments who came forward and told us that they had done things to push the prices of cryptocurrency down. Like the Polish government told us that they hired people to go on YouTube to talk negatively about Bitcoin so that people wouldn't use it anymore. Like that is a huge indication. As far as the February, I don't think we're going to have it at the end of this year anymore. I think February is probably the next time we could potentially have something. But the manipulation is definitely going to be there. 6,000 below Bitcoin. To be fair, we had a lot of people who were talking about that Bitcoin is going to fall between the like $3,000 to $5,000 level. And that would be the bottom. But this was also a couple of months ago. Who knows exactly what's going to happen? But 3,000 to 5,000 has been predicted. I think what would cause this is that we would need definite word from the SEC that there would be no approvals in 2018. Prices would go down. And then we would need an enormous amount of people throwing dirt on top of Bitcoin, talking about, oh, Bitcoin is trash. Oh, Bitcoin can't do this. Oh, Bitcoin doesn't have an ETF. And that would also cause prices to go down. Myself, I've thought about this a couple of weeks as well. I could see what I think is going to end up happening. I think that we're going to see a rally in the market. But I think it's going to come from XRP simply because of speculation. And I don't mean XRP is the winner. Oh my gosh, XRP is going to be number one. I mean because of XRapid potentially being launched within the next month. The same uptick that we saw in the market last week, and it happened for like 3 or 4 days, and it was because after we had the news about XRapid potentially launching. I think this is going to happen. I think XRP is going to pull the market up. And we have to be lucky, or rather the other coins, because if XRapid launches, then XRP is... Anyway, if this does happen, we're going to need positive news on all the other coins. Like, I'm hoping that the creators or the devs, the developers of these projects, take advantage of any type of hyper price movement and start releasing good news. And this will push prices back up. But if things don't go this way, as far as what I just said, I think we can definitely, or would possibly, see a below 6,000 Bitcoin, because the market is running on hype. But that's kind of what it is right now. Everyone is speculating on the future of this. Everyone is speculating, do I have to have 0.01? Do I have to have a full Bitcoin? So this is all hyper speculation. But when even more so like November is the time when the New York Stock Exchange is like launching their crypto exchange. If we get below $6,000 Bitcoin when the New York Stock Exchange releases their cryptocurrency exchange, that's manipulation. Just news in general. When they said November that they're expecting to release this, if I'm not mistaken. If we get news a week before that this is launching, and I'm going to assume, just for argument's sake, that they're probably only going to have or announce Bitcoin and Ethereum as their two listings, or even listing pairs as far as the other ones, and Bitcoin prices drop, that's people selling off to try and push the price down even further so that they can get in before the prices go up. I am expecting that if it took them 5 years to announce that they were going to be launching a cryptocurrency exchange, that means 5 years of people in the background also working on their own infrastructure to be able to help the price of Bitcoin go up as well. I would be shocked, if by the end of November, beginning of December, middle of December, if Bitcoin's price isn't above 10,000, with the New York Stock Exchange having released their platform, that is manipulation. That is a definite problem. But as of now, thinking about it, as far as the New York Stock Exchange launching their thing, we should logic, not see a Bitcoin price below 10,000 by the end of this year. Logically. That's just how I feel. Next up, I'm a fan of your YouTube, and I do appreciate what you are doing. It is a very good idea having this Q&A. Yeah, I think so as well. Like, we get to so many other things that I wouldn't have gotten to. Want to know when do you expect to have the XRP in 3 digits? That is a very interesting question. I'll try and make it simple. XRP hit $3.60 in 2017 without XRapid. I can foresee a triple in price of hitting $10 once XRapid is actually launched and active. If we actually end up getting dozens of banks, like Brad Garlinghouse said, by the end of 2019, I can definitely foresee a 20 to $40 XRP price. And that's me being hyper conservative. If we do get more information, not just from the dozens of banks, but other companies who are doing remittances, other crypto exchanges who end up listing XRP as their base pair, like we already have 3 exchanges that we know about who are going to be XRapid/XRP users and have XRP as their base pair. If we get final confirmation that SBI in Japan has not only launched, but that they're also going to be using XRP as a base pair, I would say, and I want to just think, let's say 2020, 2021, or maybe like December 2020. I think what could happen is that FOMO aside, as XRP starts shooting up in value, other people will try and get into the game as well. And I don't mean like normal people just buying into the market. When we start, I told you guys, I think maybe once before, when XRapid is activated and a whole fiscal year has gone by, and at the end of that fiscal year, we get, let's say, 4 or 5 different banks who are using XRapid, let's say conservatively, not dozens, let's say 4 or 5 different banks, and they come forward and say, we have been using XRapid, we have been using it for an entire year, and our savings have been 70% of what we would have normally had to pay for the year before, and their normal fees come out to, let's say, $350 million. Let's say like they have, exorbitant fees for all their banks around the world, for all of the people who they're paying, and so and so and so and so, and they save 70% on that. This would cause more people to jump onto the XRapid train, as it were. A 3-digit XRP, conservatively, I can expect, or I think, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. If we do have this bull run up in 2020, people were asking before about, do I think that XRP will flounder when we have a stock market crash because of banks and stuff like that? XRP isn't a stock. It's something that's used to as like to transmit payments back and forth. I don't foresee. I'm trying to put these into just normal words. No, I don't foresee XRP crumbling should we have a stock market crash, as XRP isn't a stock and it's used as a payment method. I don't think, and you may have also noticed, XRP isn't exclusive, Ripple isn't exclusively targeting banks anymore when it comes to using the XRP token. Anything that is a money transmitter back and forth. This is why we had news about Western Union and MoneyGram. I'm pretty sure that those two are not the only companies. So even if the stock market does crash or fall apart, they're still going to be transacting billions of dollars per day through XRP, through other corridors as well. Like, it's not just going to be banks. It's not just banks that they are targeting. So to answer your question, sorry for trailing off, I'm going to say end of 2019, and it'd be like huge possibly end of 2019, early 2020. That's the kind of time that I see for it. I don't see XRP hitting 10,000. I don't see XRP hitting 20,000 anytime soon. But I think conservatively, 40 to 60 is definitely a possibility sometime next year. Potentially by the end of 2019, if we have dozens of banks once again, I think a 3-digit XRP token is not out of the realm of possibility. Not at all. I really like your videos and appreciate your opinions. Thank you very much. I'm always wondering about the future prices of crypto. If most of the current investors, retail at least, are now investing in coins as a digital asset, meaning that we hope that future prices is going up. And once the target price is reached that we will sell, isn't that going to always crash the market like when we see occasionally now? For example, we have seen prices predictions for XRP from 3, 10, and 5.83. Don't you think that $3, for instance, will form a major, huge dip crash since people will start selling at that range, fearing that the price has already reached a ceiling? If the price reached $589, what do you think would keep it out of that range since everyone is going to be cashing out? I understand that this is not going to be the end and people will keep trading and investing in what coin like we have been doing and following the Bitcoins up to December. However, I always wonder if it is the reason we keep seeing these random dips crashes, and I feel this is going to be the case as long as the coin does not have an actual utility that could somehow be valued measured so that a stable coin price could be quoted against this. My goodness, that sentence. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to try and work backwards on this. the dips that we've been seeing have actually come from people who are selling. There are a lot of whales, if you want to call them, in the market, people who have a lot of money, and they have buy and or sell orders at certain prices. So when a certain price is reached, they start selling. Like, if let's say Bitcoin is at 1,000 and people put in sell orders if it hits 1,200 because they go, no, it just can't possibly go any higher. It hits 1,200. The whale starts selling. Bitcoin's price drops to around, let's say, 700-800, and they have a buy order at that amount as well. So the entire thing, when you see these huge dips and crashes, especially probably what we're seeing right now in the market, pretty much comes down to that. People pushing the market to their whim back and forth so that they can make more profit. When it comes to people cashing out, okay, I totally agree with you as far as there are a lot of people who are in the market right now who are in it for the bull run. They are in it when prices hit exactly where they were last December. People have announced many times that they plan on cashing out. That is just going to happen. It has to do with, forgive my wording, short-sightedness, not being able to see a lot further than some other people, or maybe just simply wanting to break even and get out of the market. F crypto, I never want to deal with it again. I made my money back. I broke even. I'm completely out of it. When XRP probably even hits $1, I'm expecting a dip. When Bitcoin hits 20,000, I'm expecting a dip. When we hit these old values, if I'm expecting a dip, other people who have millions in the market are also expecting other people to start selling rapidly as well, simply because these people want to sell. They want to get out. Prices are going to go down. If the amount of people who brought it up to 20,000 last year are cashing out, prices will probably dip. The issue is that prices are probably also going to continue going up as well. Once you shake the tree and some of the apples fall, the other apples continue to grow, and the other ones that are on the ground, they cannot throw themselves back up in the air again. You won't be able to get back at that price anymore. When it comes to so if XRP ever does hit a price of 589, this is under the assumption that XRP has taken over a large amount of the world's finances. Like the money that's flowing through we have a percentage of all money that's flowing through the world at any given time, and this causes a stabilization in price. I.e., let's say Bitcoin's market cap is $100, and you have 100 Bitcoin, and each Bitcoin is worth $1, sorry, and you sell half of them. The Bitcoin market completely tumbles, crashes in half. Everyone loses their mind. Why is the price going down? Oh my gosh. It's because there's no, you need volume in the market. You need liquidity, and you also need a huge market cap. Let's say Bitcoin's market cap is $100 million, and you have $100 worth of Bitcoin, and you sell that $100. It does nothing to the price. So at prices like this, it's expected that this is an XRP price, market cap in the trillions. A lot of people would have to sell off at the exact same time in order to have any negative effect on this. But this is why we have this discussion of, or why we've had so many new crypto exchanges who are launching or announcing that they're launching, or that they're getting into the cryptocurrency game as well, is because we need the liquidity. We need, if you have, $1 million worth of volume every single day, and someone sells a huge amount of crypto, that's going to crash the entire market. But if you have a daily volume of like 100 billion and someone sells off even $35 million, that is going to do nothing to the price of the currency. And this is why it's still believed that in a couple of years, we're going to have very stable cryptocurrency prices. Once again, to that, where is it? The Bitcoin time traveler thing. If we do eventually have if Bitcoin hits a price of $200,000, we're going to have a very stable Bitcoin price. If Bitcoin hits $1 million, you would need something catastrophic. Like everyone in the world would have to sell off Bitcoin at the exact same time in order for Bitcoin price to go down. So we're definitely going to see some type of I don't know if it's going to be a major or huge crash and or dip, but people are going to sell at these prices. Everyone is, not everyone. A fraction of people who are into the cryptocurrency market right now are going to try and recuperate their losses, try and get out of the market. They're never going to touch crypto again, and the prices are going to continue to go up. I'm very impatient at this point. I want this to already happen now. Like we're going to have a lot of times in crypto where prices are, we're going to have like huge dips and stuff like that, and things will still continue to go back up, but I want them to happen now. Like I know these are going to happen, and a lot of other people who are analysts and stuff like that, they also see them as well. When Bitcoin hits 20,000 again, it's going to make news. People are going to panic. People are going to start to sell. And then, the price is going to go back up. Sorry if I took too long answering your question. The point is, these are definitely going to happen. But higher prices and higher volume is very necessary in order to not crash the prices. And this is something that is going to happen very, very soon in the cryptocurrency market. Next up, question is, in 5 years, if everything explodes and we want to branch out to real estate investing, it seems the thing to do. How is it investing in foreign countries, real estate, and maybe living overseas without losing U.S. citizenship? Are you an entrepreneur doing this too? I hope that you were originally. I know that you were. I hope that you were. I know that you were originally from the States, so I'm curious. Even if crypto fails, at least it allows me to dream. Oh, that's sweet. Also, I am curious if you think one day we can buy fractional citizenship with blockchain securities and maybe public infrastructure where we have citizenship and are responsible for streaming payments for the upkeep of roads, and because there are not IoT, Internet of Things data metrics, with crypto being developed, a little stretch of road can be monetized to pay for that upkeep. Those are my thoughts anyway. So, if everything explodes in 5 years, I want to branch out to real estate. Thing to do. Investing in foreign countries. I had a friend ask me this before. You ever held up your hand and rubbed your thumb against your first 4 fingers? You know what that symbolizes? It just means money. In order to invest in foreign countries for real estate, you just need money. There are a couple of countries that actually would like you to be a resident or a citizen. They don't usually care as long as you have money. This is the same in London. This is the same in Paris. This is the same in all over Germany. This is the same all over Italy. This is the same in Spain. This is the same all over the place. As long as you have money, 99% of countries do not care who you are or where you are from, as long as you can pay for the apartment that you are trying to buy. As far as living overseas without losing U.S. citizenship, you can actually Google this as well. There are you can Google it and watch YouTube videos on it as well. There are places where you can not only even buy citizenship. I know it might sound expensive, but it's actually, you would assume it costs millions. You can buy citizenship in a couple of European countries for $100,000. I think because the Spanish economy has not been doing very well in the last couple of years, I think they have a system where if you buy property in Spain, they actually give you residency. So I'm going to assume you don't want to lose your U.S. citizenship. What you can do is get residency. And that pretty much means you have all the laws, like everything applies to you, except you cannot vote in that country. If voting is not a major thing to you, like if you don't care about voting on elections and you just want to live in another country without losing your U.S. citizenship, you can get residency. You can try and Google buying residency in Spain. I'm more than certain you can find it. I love real estate. If you have the chance to do so, definitely research it a lot more and try and branch out into it. I think real estate is absolutely incredible. And if you can buy real estate and also in a foreign country and then get residency there as well so that you can travel around the world and do as you please, I would definitely recommend this. Am I an entrepreneur? Yeah, I have definitely done this. I don't know if you saw my last video. I was talking about real estate as well. This is how I kind of branched out, if you will. I had an eBay business, saved up a lot, and started branching out this way. I was originally from the States as well, yes. Even if crypto fails, at least I can dream. I'm curious to think that one day we can buy fractional citizenship. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. I know there's like e-citizenship that certain countries have. I think Estonia has this, where you can be like a digital citizen of their country. I think you get like an ID card and everything like that as well. As far as like, I don't know if fractional citizenship would be a thing. I think it just comes down to like residency. I think residency would be like more of a gateway. And as far as like fractional ownership and like being able to, I can definitely see this being a thing as well. Like actually owning like a fraction of a road or a fraction of something and paying for the upkeep or being paid as people are using your services. That's definitely also a thing. That pretty much just comes down to you buying land and or property in another country and renting it out or having it monetized in some way and people then paying you for it. I would definitely recommend it if this is something that interests you. If you are interested in not only owning property, but also not losing your U.S. citizenship and branching out a bit more, I can definitely recommend it. Do research on it. It's not as difficult as it sounds or as people may think. I've met a lot of people in France as well who are from the States and have done this as well. Like it may take a couple of years. I think 5 years might be a good time frame. Hopefully a bit less if crypto ends up going insane. But this is definitely possible. Everything you said is definitely correct. It's definitely all things that can happen. And I would look into residency in different countries around the world, because it's actually even cheaper in other places. Like you could maybe even move to Bali or something like that. And it's also, you could be living next to the beach very cheaply and what have you. Last up, my goodness. Had a thought and figured it would be a good discussion point, considering Bitcoin's future price predictions of anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million. If someone owned more than one Bitcoin, would it be worth keeping only one Bitcoin and investing the rest in the top altcoins, or keep all the Bitcoin? Once again, I am not a financial advisor. I cannot give you probably the question you're looking for. I would say it comes down to what your needs or desires are. If Bitcoin, realistically, I'm going to tell you what I think or what I would do. If Bitcoin hit a price of $1 million, this is not only terrifying to me because of the time traveler, but it's also telling me that Bitcoin will probably also go a lot higher, because I'm going to assume that the rewards are going to continue to be cut in half. The more people are going to be using Bitcoin on a daily basis, and potentially Bitcoin could become, I mean, if we pass by this number, then Bitcoin could become a world currency, what have you. It comes down to what you want. Are you okay financially at that point in just owning one Bitcoin, having $1 million on the side, and then using, let's say you have 2 Bitcoin and using the other $1 million to be able to put into the other altcoins or into real estate or whatever you are thinking of doing? It kind of comes down to what you want to do. I once had an idea of what I thought would be good, or for other people to be able to, or how to invest in cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people disagreed with me. So I stay away from giving any, not actual advice. Like I can't, it's impossible for me to tell you what to do with your money. It's like, you have to think as far as, I put it this way. I know a lot of people who would be very comfortable having $1 million. And if they had $2 million and had the opportunity to invest in something else, they probably would do so. So it's up to you to decide, if you are comfortable having 2 Bitcoin, one of them is worth $1 million, and you decide to sell the other one and invest in a bunch of other things, do you feel comfortable doing that? I told you guys before, I plan on investing more into real estate. So that's probably something that I would do. And I mean, realistic. First of all, if Bitcoin hits $1 million, the other altcoins are also going to be incredibly expensive at that point. Like the other 10 altcoins or 15 or 20 altcoins that actually make it up there as Bitcoin is going up as well. So they won't be a bargain anymore. Just a little side note. Even if we hit $250,000, oh my gosh, if Bitcoin hits $250,000, that's going to be the craziest thing in the entire world. Especially thinking that you could have gotten it for a couple years ago for like 200, kind of makes you want to cry. But yeah, hope I answered it to the best of my ability. All right, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. Emails keep coming in. Thank you for your questions. I do appreciate them, and I like being able to cover different aspects of the cryptocurrency market. And, I find it interesting that people have such interesting questions, and that you think about topics that I normally wouldn't talk about on the channel. And I'm pretty sure that other people out there as well have, going through their head. Like we all think about different things, not everyone's thinking about the price. People are also thinking about the future and, how things are going and where things are moving along. So definitely keep these coming. Let me know if you enjoy these videos. If I should continue doing them. I like doing them, but I don't want to boggle you down with things that you don't want to see. But I definitely enjoy doing these. Thank you once again all for watching. Thank you once again for your support. I do appreciate it more than you know. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for watching and or listening, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.